Welcome back to the David Pakman Show. I am Jesse Dollemore, sitting in for David while he is away. Look, some stories just bring me a chef's kiss amount of joy. Is chef's kiss a measurement that I can use as how much joy I feel when I get to talk about Donald Trump Jr. and his podcast? Donald Trump Jr. just started a podcast, I guess titled after his book of the same name, Triggered. And in it, it is similar to the videos you may or may not see on Twitter where he gesticulates wildly. And look, not being one who lives in a glass house and wants to throw stones, I'm somebody who gesticulates. I'm somebody who waves his hands around maybe more than I should. I certainly get taken to task on it, about it on YouTube. But Donald Trump Jr. just has a fundamental misunderstanding about how air quotes work. In some of these videos, he just sits there and does air quotes for several seconds in a row at everything he says.
A shared desire to keep quiet. Early on, Biden's attorneys and Justice Department investigators both thought they had a shared understanding about keeping the matter quiet, but they had very different reasons. I mean, seriously? They could be leveraging the fact that they have those secrets and that Joe was irresponsible with them to gain whatever advantage over the United States. Of course they had a desire to keep it quiet. But the fact that the media is quiet about it, the fact that all the leftists don't say anything about it, that in and of itself is actually the story.
It's just bizarre. And this is like maybe the third episode of his podcast. And this mashup, I believe, is from Ron Filipowski on Twitter. And it says a lot about what conservatives tune into and where they get their information and what they find credible. This is a remarkable clip, this mashup, that is as all over the place as really anything that I've witnessed in recent memory. It is schizophrenic in nature, to use it, to colloquialize that term. Watch this nuttiness from the ex-president's son, Donald Trump Jr.
Discredited, not actually, but the media always said discredited. I don't think they've been wrong on anything yet, frankly. But, constantly said they're discredited. That's the way the media does their things, because journalists actually refuse to actually be journalists. Like, God forbid they do a job. God forbid they don't just rubber stamp the Democrat talking points. It's that while the company wouldn't dare admit it publicly, they do mutate viruses. Branded conspiracy theorists. Well, like every conspiracy theorist, if you wait a couple of weeks, you'll be proven right. Who would possibly do that? What is this, like the 1980s? Like, are we still pretending that all of these people have our best intentions are? The highly educated and sophisticated media class that know better. Do that when elections, when everything's won by basis points, margins, a couple points here and there. Those people who aren't paying attention that much, you know what, if I can get that guy even wondering, maybe he just doesn't even show up. A big part of, I think, why we're in Ukraine, I've read some really interesting threads about, like, sort of the labs that are over there. I'm not going to talk about them. I got to research it a little bit more. But, look at why else we may be in Ukraine and why maybe it's okay if we let other people kind of mutate viruses. And when the Russians do it, it's bioengineering. And when we do it, it's checking to make sure we're preventing pandemic, yada, yada, yada. He's feeling really unsafe right now. Really? And he was sort of like, well, we do this, but not really that much. I mean, what's a couple of mutations, right? I mean, folks, it takes one.
Doing his own research, Donald Trump Jr. there. Talking about how every conspiracy theory, if you wait a couple weeks, it ends up being true. Listen, this is hilarious, and this is funny, and it's mockable because he's a moron. But it is troubling because of the fact that there's a wide swath of the country who looks at this individual, this troubled goon, and thinks he's credible, and thinks he's smart, and thinks he has it together, and thinks he has access to information that they don't because he's the son of the ex-guy. We're in trouble. I'd love to know what you think about this. I know David has a phone number. You can mix it up in the comments on YouTube. This is something that I would love to get your take on. Once again, I am Jesse Dollemore. I host I Doubt It podcast on everywhere that podcasts are. I host the Dollemore Daily on YouTube, and you can catch me on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I am at Dollemore.